In this video, we will try to describe how to collect data for a SARI Sentinel site. When you first start the application, you are presented with the application launcher. The first thing we need to do here is to choose administration and fill in the specific site information. The administration pages are constructed in a wizard style, and the first page presents the user 4 sections: the general site information, the essentials checklist, the desirables checklist, and the optionals checklist. We will now fill in some of the information in the general site section. You will notice that the user is asked to choose the week type, and the two available options are normal and EPI. Normal means that the user will have to later choose the first day of each month for the beginning of the data collection period, whereas EPI will require the user to enter the first day of the first epidemiological week for that month. The essentials checklist contains questions that are required for the user to continue working with the application. If they respond no in any of these, they will be prompted that they cannot continue. The desirables checklist contains items that are desirable, and they, depending on the user's responses, certain parts of the data input and output will be not required and therefore not visible to the user. And the same as with the optionals checklist. So now we can click next step and move to the next page, where the other information may be collected. First of all, the user can click on the set start date button and choose the year for the data collection period, and then depending on the choice he made earlier about the normal or EPI week, will be prompted to choose the appropriate date month. Once you click set date, the due date is automatically calculated. The next piece we would like to record the data for is the population information section, and whether or not we have population data for the catchment area by age and gender. Let's assume that we do have for now, and choose the second group. And the next bit is the pregnant women information, and whether or not we do have data for pregnant women. If we do have, we need to specify the crude birth rate as well. And clicking next, it will take us to the mid-year population data entry page, where we need to input values for the individual age group categories, depending on what we have selected before, for male and female. The values entered here are only indicative and used as an example. Once we're happy with the data that we have entered, we can either go back, or we can click launcher to return to the launcher menu. This means that we have now filled in all the administrative information, and we are ready to go into the data input. And we can go back to the administration and see what would happen if we didn't have the census data. Let's click administration, next step, and here, instead of yes, we will click no. You can see that the date is now locked to the range that we have specified. We click no and click next, and this is the additional information page where we need to give the application some more information so that the population for each age group is automatically calculated. The first question is whether we do know the population of the catchment area. If we do, that's fine. We need to specify 100,000 for example, and continue. If we don't, we need to specify the population for the lowest administrative unit that we know the population for. So you can see the options that are here: district or taluka, union, council, etc. I'm going back to the yes in the first question, and then we do need to specify that anyway. Here, finally, do you know the proportion of population in each of the age groups from the census? This is essential. We cannot continue if we don't know that, and we get prompted about it. So we do need to know that before we can continue. The next question is, do you know the proportion of population in each of the age groups by gender? And if we do know that, that is fine. We can specify that in the next page. If we don't, there is a default value given so that we can use this instead. And finally, we need to specify the proportions here for the HUS data. This is the total. This is the proportion of the total population of a catchment area that do have access to the health care, and we can get some numbers here. Now we can click next, and because we have specified that we don't know the population proportions by gender, we will be asked to give it by age group. Once we are happy with the data that we have entered, we click next, and we can see that the mid-year population data for each age group and gender is automatically calculated for us. And then we can click launcher, and we go back to the main launcher of the application. We can now click on the data input. We're ready to start adding our data. And here you can see the data input menu. On the left side you can see the all cases, pregnant women, and laboratory data. The right hand side is are the options for the comorbidities, entering data for comorbidities. For the laboratory data, we will cover this in a separate video because it is a week by week data input, whereas the rest are monthly inputs. And the other thing that we need to say here is that you can see everything is now orange, and because it is in progress, as soon as the user fills in all 12 months of data, the respective button will turn green to indicate that the data input has been completed for that one. Let's click now on all cases and start adding data for that. And you can see that we've been navigated to take into the first month, which is available, and you can see the rest of the months for this year that are available in the drop down list. Top left cell indicates what month we're on. The data menu button will take us back to the data menu. The left sidebar shows that we're working on the SARI Sentinel site. We can choose another month and click go, and it will take us there, and we can continue adding data for that month. You can see now that it has changed there, saying May 2007. Here we need to enter data for the total number of all case hospital admissions, the number of new SARI cases admitted, and then we need to enter the number of new inpatient cases positive for all these types of influenza. And as you will type the numbers, you will see that as you will start typing the influenza numbers, you will see that the total is auto-calculated, and therefore in the end you have a total number. If you don't have the individual values for the influenza types, you can instead type directly the total number, so you don't have to specify the individual influenza cases. Similar to this, we have the number of deaths. I'm using my wheel on the mouse to scroll down, and you can add the total number of inpatient deaths in SARI cases, and then all the individual ones that are attributed to the influenza types. The total number at the end is auto calculated as you type in your values. If we now navigate back to the data menu, you will still see that all cases is orange, is still in progress. I will now specify some more, well, I will try to fill in all the months for all cases, and to demonstrate how the button will change color as soon as that happens. I have now entered some data for all the months, and by clicking data menu will take me back to the data input menu, and you will see that all cases has now turned green, indicating that all the data has been captured for that particular case. The same applies for pregnant women and any of the comorbidities. Now that we have filled in the data in all cases, we can review what the output looks like. Before we do that, I would like to show you in all cases that you don't need to enter data for the cells that you don't have values for. You only need to fill in the cells that you do have values. Anyway, we go back, we have filled in all the months, and now we can go back to the launcher and results and reports. And here you have a similar view like the data input one. You have the all cases, pregnant women, and laboratory data on the left, and the comorbidities on the right. And we will click on the all cases, and every time you click, you go into the output for all cases. It recalculates the values. For some cases that doesn't have value, it produces errors. For other cases that it does have the values, you can see the data have been filled in. You have the incidence rate for influenza associated SARI, and you can scroll down. You will see here we have the proportion of SARI in all case hospitalization, and we can also see the proportion of influenza associated SARI in all cause hospitalization, and finally the case fatality ratio and the proportion contribution of influenza in all SARI deaths. Here we have a few more options. We can print this. This is the print preview of Excel, standard tools of Excel. You can change the percentage here to 60% to make it fit your page. You can do all the different things that you can normally do in Excel. Close that view. You can export the spreadsheet so that you can copy and paste the data for use with other worksheets. By clicking that, you only need to specify the file name of the output file. And finally, you can click and show the graphs, and you can see the incidence rate by age group, the proportion of SARI in all cause hospitalization, the influenza associated SARI in all cause hospitalization, case fatality ratio, and SARI the influenza associated deaths. The values used here are only for demonstrating purposes, and so that you can see what the graphs look like and what the output looks like. If we now navigate back to the output menu, and from there to the launcher, I would like to show you the data input for one of the comorbidities, for example asthma. This is a very similar view to the one that we showed earlier about all cases. You are asked to specify the individual cases for its individual influenza type. There are two more things that you need to capture here. You need to specify the number of influenza positive ILI cases with asthma and without, and this is important for the output calculations of the odds ratio, and you will see what I mean. If now we go back to results and click on asthma, the output for comorbidities looks like that. You have the case fatality ratio and you have the odds ratio calculated for the whole year. Case fatality ratio is per influenza type. So in order to do that, we need to specify the ILI numbers.